sorry.
That's me. Sorry.
Recently, so it wasn't in my personal goals that I wrote up or something, and I don't think I even wrote them up, but um, I was thinking more and more because I watched your Google Club, after the fact, the one on making videos, and the more and more I think about it, it just makes so much more sense to make videos a lot of times, because like I would, for instance, give them a project. I have an IELCE class, and uh, some cycles it's been wonderful and they've been so communicative, but this cycle they were only a few students and they were very different levels, like two students were very high and then students who were incredibly low level. And I just didn't, I was at my wit's end in terms of what to do with them. But I still decided to give them that project that I've given every cycle, and that was to go to Career One Stop, the website Career One Stop, which maybe I have it here, maybe I don't, but it's okay. And it's a website, a government website, and you can learn a lot about occupations and you can do job searches. So every cycle I wanted, every IELC class, I wanted them at least to do a little research on a career that they would like to have or something that would be of interest to them. And so, I would give them all these instructions, like very, very detailed instructions. And I think in the past they have read them somewhat. But this cycle, I knew that it would be so hard. So even though I set up, these the slides, I set up slides for them, so a lot more scaffold. I decided that I had to just make a video. So I actually, it's kind of like a last minute procrastinating. So I decided to make the video yesterday and I'll give it to them today. But so I made a video just like going through, this whole kind of Google Slides and just rating them and saying, okay, to go to Career One Stop, we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do this. Yeah, and I'll show you the Career One Stop website, which is, it's not intuitive in terms of navigating it. It took me a while, but I thought that if I would just give them a step-by-step information in a video, it would be better. Because in the past, I would just do, go to, let's see, is it coming up? For some reason, it's not. Yeah. So this is the website, so in the past, I would write all the instructions, like explore careers, go to occupation profile, etc., career anyway, etc., etc. But anyway, so for me, it was a great thing that I was able to upload some videos on YouTube. I had never done that, and I get really paranoid when I do things for the first time. It's like, oh my god! But anyway, I followed your instructions now, unlisted, everything, and yeah, no, and I'm glad I did it.
And how was the process of actually making the video? Did you feel pretty comfortable?
Oh, well, I only used Zoom. Honestly, I had taken an LIC class with Gary last year.
Nice.
On Screencastify. And he did a great job, but I didn't follow through. And I was going crazy with the syncing the sound and the emotion and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
So I just did a Zoom.
Perfect. And that's the thing. I mean, I feel like this is the truth about a lot of tools, right? Is finding the tools that you're comfortable with. We as a staff, we're supposed to try out all these different screencasting tools. And I'm like, Zoom, I like it. There are some things where I played around so I can edit and then I'll use something fancier, but we're just making a straight runoff, especially directions. I mean, I think that's a great use of video, and it honestly can be fast. Once you feel comfortable doing it, it can be faster than having to write it out step by step, and then actually faster, yeah. And then having people read them.
And also, I used to feel so bad because I would sort of at the last minute, for example, with my Queen's class, it was like, oh my God, I haven't told them about the Queen's website, about the Culture Pass, all this stuff. And we would do a very quick session, but I knew they wouldn't process it. So I did make a video. Yeah, I made a video like how to navigate the Queen's Public Library website, and
now it'll be there for you to use every time too. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, the QPL website, and the ID New York City and the Culture Pass. So anyway.
That is super, super fancy. If you feel comfortable, you could share your links to your videos in the chat.
Okay.
But that's up
There's
to
a lot of
you.
now. There's
It's all good. It's all good.
and they're
Are
too
good.
long. They're too long. I didn't edit them. So
Yeah. Well, whatever you want to do, obviously totally understand. But that's the thing, like there's refinements, right? So I used to think that I was going to make lots of little tiny videos for each step of like, how do you set up a Zoom call or whatever. And then I realized, you know what? It's more natural for me to do a long everything video, but then I can actually put in the time stops for the individual points. And then if someone's coming to my video, they don't have to watch the whole hour, right? They can get to just the parts that are important. So that's the next step. We'll do that next.
well, no, I haven't
Okay.
gotten to the part where you itemize and you say, okay, this part, the first 5 minutes, or this and this and that.
No.
I didn't do that.
We'll get there. That's a good thing for the fall. Well, this is
Okay.
fantastic. I'm very excited. Excellent. So thank you, Marika, so
Oh,
much.
you're welcome.
Folks, does anyone have any questions for Marika or anyone else tried doing videos, making little videos? All right. Well, thank you again, Marika, so much.
Oh,
And
you're
I'm
welcome.
really excited that worked out. That was something
Well,
that
I
was-
just procrastinate till the last minute, but
don't we all? Working
Yes.
till deadline. It's like the inspirational pillow in my house is working till deadline. But anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, I see that Evilise mentioned smart boards. Evilise, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience using smart boards?
I don't have anything fascinating to
That's
say
okay.
like she did. I mean,
Well, how
Marika
was
was good.
It's a
But,
high bar. We start with a high bar. So now
I know. But when I worked for the DOE many years ago, they had just started to get smart boards, and for me it was something like, what is this? Like, I've never done this. I'm so old school. But for the first time, we have one now in adult ed, and it was just so good to use. That we did hybrid, so it was just so good to use when you can download everything and then mark them up and just do things that I was so afraid to do when I was younger. So it was just a nice experience to have that with our adult education class. I just thought for me, it was exciting.
very cool. So you were like maybe so you could show a Google document that the people who were on the Zoom could see and the people in the class could see at the same time. That is fantastic.
Yeah, so I did hybrid, so it was perfect because
Yes.
I was able to download everything and everybody can see the classroom plus, my students on Zoom. So it was really nice. It was a nice experience. I wasn't as intimidated as I was in the past. So it was nice. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. Well done. All right, moving right along. Claudian, you mentioned Cami extension. Do you want to talk about that? Did we lose Claudian? Oh, there you are. I think he's getting somewhere where he can speak, maybe. Oh, you're muted. There we go.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I mentioned Kami extensions.
Yes.
That was just for the annotations. So that is the only thing I'm using. It's pretty helpful. The free version is good enough.
So you're using it for feedback or giving students feedback?
Sometimes, yes. I can use it as a whiteboard. Sorry. So it's got some pretty nice features.
What are you using? I didn't get what you're using.
Kami, Kami, as a Google extension.
And a few of my colleagues have talked about Kami as a way of giving feedback. So it's something where you can put in responses as well as using it as a whiteboard. And it's its own app, I believe, as well. But the extension is helpful if you're using Chrome. Then you can add that as an extension into your Chrome.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm using. So
excellent. Is it possible for you to demonstrate it right now? Or are you on your phone? You're probably
no, I'm on my phone.
okay. So we'll keep that, but I'm going to remember, and maybe we'll ask you in the fall to show us some things that you've been doing.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Claudia. Fiona says she's hungry for Google ideas. Fiona, we know that you do amazing things with Google. Did you want to share anything more recent, or you're good?
Okay. There is nothing new what I'm gonna share.
Sorry, Aneta, what?
Yeah, about Kami, that I use Kami extension as well, and basically I can take notes, like when I'm projecting it on the wall, or let's say a book that I'm using, right? Electronic version, so I can fill in the gaps with Kami. So that's helpful. Like, so, you know, you can imagine, it's like PDF. You muted yourself now.
I'm gonna put the Kami app in the chat.
Very convenient and easy.
But so there's the app, but then there's also the extension. So it's worth checking out the app so you can kind of see all the stuff it has. And then the extension just makes it easier to access it while you're in Chrome itself.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you, Aneta. All right, Faina, sorry.
Yes. So as well as Marika and me, I was pushing this week and last week for employment. If I can share a screen. So I do teach both civics beginners and civics intermediate. And the assignments are, from one hand, they're the same, and from another hand, they are a little different. So this is what beginners are doing as an homework assignment, because this is a working group. They work at daytime, and I'm teaching them Thursday night and Saturday morning. So I put it here because not all of them have the job now, so they can use past, now, or future. Second slide, I put instructions, then my slide as an example, and then I put name for each person, and they did a simple but very clear presentation where they're working, what they're doing, and also not everyone is technically savvy. So I decided to do, if you cannot do it, send me your text and your picture if you cannot send, because this is hybrid class. People who are in class, I let them stand up next to the podium. Okay, you start typing. So anyhow, I have to push them to do something. Okay, so and they did a pretty good job. I mean, they have imagination. Next week we were doing, past week we were doing New York City, and here I'm using Jamboard, and it was also very simple because they have cell phones, not computers, and the difficulty to download the app. So, okay, it's loading. It's my, you see million tabs on the top. Okay, it's gonna show you like how they, oh, mama. Okay, but it's coming. Okay, if I'm gonna let it go, I'm gonna show you maybe for intermediate. Okay, for intermediate, their slides. I don't have patience, right? Okay, I don't know. Okay, it's coming. So for intermediate, it was the same idea as beginners with each slide. So they're writing. Okay, you see, that's what's happening. Okay. Let me just stop share. Okay, maybe it's gonna download itself. So for this topic, so I didn't invent anything new. I'm still shy of doing recordings and videos by myself. It's a very traditional. So my slides are basically to digitize any written materials I can find. Exercises are on the slide, during the class time. Okay, whatever matching or gap fill or whatever, it's on the screen. And I can tell you this breakout rooms are not working with a hybrid class. I mean, people are sitting with masks on, one on each table, and it's not the, okay, if they start talking and people who are on the screen, they cannot hear because there is no microphone, only me when I'm talking, they can hear. So breakout rooms is not for hybrid. That's my thinking, okay? Maybe anybody has an idea. So that's for, okay, let me see if it's gonna start doing the job. Okay, all right, so here, okay, here it's intermediate with the same assignment for job topic. Okay, and they are more wordy. That's how I say it. I am not pushing to for grammar much. Okay, I am giving like, okay, this is a suggestion. Maybe you're gonna fix that. Okay, but for Padlet, for second week, so the first week is like what people do on the job, how to search. So they're doing on their cell phones with me, Indeed and Craigslist at the same time in class. Okay, everybody, what job do you want to find? Go on your phone and show me what did you find. For second week, we were doing interview. So for Padlet, I decided to give them a question from Best Plus, because very often they kind of stuck on the question I'm putting here. If you could have any job you wanted, what job would you have? What qualification will you need for the job? And I didn't request them to do pictures. That's their own ideas, okay, to do picture, okay, and qualifications. So that's for 2 weeks we managed. And back to beginners, it's still Jamboard is not still up. Oh, yes, it is. Okay, so we were doing New York City, and the only what I wanted one sentence or 2 sentences, because they're beginners. Give me a picture of your landmark you're going to be talking about. And they managed to do 2 pages of Jamboard. So I'm happy about that. Okay, that's the latest development.
Fantastic. Look at that. That's beautiful, Faina. So I hear you saying that you're doing hybrid, which means you have some people in the room with you and some people are joining you on Zoom. Is that right? How many?
WebEx.
WebEx, right. Okay, so virtually at least. How many of you are doing that right now, where you have a combination of in-person and people in online? Okay, interesting. Because that's definitely, I think that's an area that we're moving into. I'm seeing that happen more, and it's its own special set of skills. And I do think that tech can help with it, but tech is also a big mystery there. So that's great information, and we'll certainly think of ways to help you guys more with that stuff. Well, someone had their hand raised, maybe. Amira, did you, or Molly, did you have your hand raised?
I did. That was to answer your question about doing hybrid.
Okay.
But I actually also have a question for Faina, if you don't mind.
Perfect.
Sure.
So you said that you will use slides to show like fill-in activities. Do you have students complete them on the slide, or do you have them just look at it while you're sharing and then write in their own notebooks?
It's too many students, so I don't share slides for editing. Okay. How to say it? Do it in your notebook at home, practice. Next class, we are gonna check together.
Okay.
Because it's usually one topic for 2 classes for 1 week. And the more common is multiple choice or short answers through Google Forms. but I alternate with the Padlet or slides. So when Elke was doing workshop last Friday on songs, what came to my mind, because in summer it's kind of easy topic. So I'm thinking about music around the world for Padlet. So I would ask them to clip YouTube videos. They never tried it before, and talk about your country, whatever folklore or a dance you want to talk about, like a presentation through YouTube. Talking, not reading. So maybe that's gonna be something for the summer, for electives. I don't know. I'm thinking about that.
Very cool.
Thank you.
And I have to say, in the classes I've observed, I've seen a lot of teachers do it this way. Again, they haven't necessarily been hybrid classes, but they've used Google Slides or Google Docs, and then they've typed in the answer, but they're basically taking the answers from the students. So they're sort of, and I'm assuming it was homework where students had worked on it on their own, and now this was sort of the reporting back. So the teacher tends to be the scribe, but they're writing what the students are saying. Kate, I see that you actually mentioned that you use Google Slides for dictations. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you do that? Oh, you're muted. Maybe you know that. Oh, you're still muted. Oh, still muted. We can come back. It should be down in that bottom, or I think it'll be in the bottom. There should be a toolbar, and as you scroll over the bottom, you should.
Yeah, I know.
You know.
I have my mouse is my fingertips are.
Oh, yes. Understand.
Any case, so yeah, I wasn't really prepared to show you guys anything, but I can tell you that what I've found out, I'm sorry to be echoing so much. I could, find perhaps just a quick, a glimpse at this, but, and so let me just see if I can find this quick glimpse that I can do, how old fashioned, again, putting on the blackboard the text and then erasing the words and having students recall the words. And so you start out with sentences or a paragraph. And then, so I started to do that with Google Slides. And okay, yeah, I can show you this, I think. I'll just show a quick example if I can find this. Let's see. Okay, yeah, why don't we try this? Now, sorry, is it okay if I share my screen? Yes. And here we go. And so, slideshow. You might recognize this text. It comes from a text of dictations. Okay, so I don't know, could somebody read this, anyone who would volunteer to read it out loud?
I'll read it.
Okay.
There are several kinds of American names. One kind is names from jobs. Some of these popular names are Cook, Carpenter, Smith, and Baker. Another kind is names from colors. These are names like brown, white, and black. We also get names that show relationships in a family, like Johnson.
Okay, can anyone, so going back to that, I mean, maybe whoever just read that, could you read this?
Sure, that's me, Lauren, sorry, I forgot my camera was on. There are many kinds of blank blank.
Okay, and do you remember what you said?
I believe I said names, but I don't know the second blank. There are several kinds. One kind is
Oh,
popular names.
wait, no, just that first sentence. And I think I think I can see that it isn't the same as what you read. It should be. So the first sentence.
Oh, there are several kinds of American names.
Okay, and so oh, sorry, it should be several, sorry. Okay, so it should be identical. So can you read that again, Lauren?
Sure, there are several kinds of blank blank.
Yeah, okay. And what would the blank blank be?
Is that for me or Joan or everyone else?
Okay,
Oh, American names. American names.
yes. So of course, this shows me that I'm not really doing this right, but, and now I think I changed several to many because it's a bit, that's what the students understood. So can anyone reconstruct that meaning of this sentence? It's the same meaning, right? So then it would be, there are many kinds of American names. And then there are many kinds of American names. There are many kinds of American names.
It's like musical chairs, but backwards. There's all these
There are
spaces.
many kinds of American names. And that's that.
I love that idea. I love that idea. I never-
This is kind of like, and then you can use pictures instead of the words. And then, so it's the same, and then, I don't know where this is. Okay, yeah. So I was also trying to get at the fact that there aren't a lot of, diversity. Where's the diversity? And then I had a thing where I'm going to stop share. Thanks. Stop share. That essentially it also, I have African-American names because it's not John Smith, or it could be, but you can also have a more, all these names, Sojourner Truth, who named herself, and other people. Anyway, the whole thing of names.
I love it, Kate. That's fantastic. And I really love the way, that exercise of like slowly getting us so that we actually know we're telling you the whole sentence with all words from our brain, not just reading them. I like that.
Thank you, by the way, Lauren. Thank you.
Very well done. Any have questions for Kate? I think it's a really interesting idea. Oh, yep, Julie, go for it.
You probably said this, but do you do that in the classroom or as a hybrid?
Oh, thank you. So you mean on Zoom? Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking? In the Zoom?
Yeah.
Yes, I've done it in Zoom. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's great.
Does that type of dictation have a name?
No.
That method? No? Is that your method or?
Yeah, I just translated. Yeah, I was trying to figure out on Zoom. I know you can dictate, blah, blah. But I was trying
That's a great way. Yeah, no, it's
and
great.
also the way that if it's, thanks to Lauren, I realized totally, I haven't revisited this, but the again, low level introductory text, it would just be the whole thing perhaps, or not. That didn't seem to be very useful. And also it should be the same thing.
Exact same, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But also, by the way, the students can chime in and it gives the opportunity for all the students to start to participate and voice it.
Great. That's great.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Kate. That was wonderful. Let's see. So Julie, I think you had a question about websites, maybe. It's more of a question.
Yeah, someone responded Comlit, I wrote it down.
Yeah, Common Lit.
Common Lit.
Yeah, and you can assign if you're working with the Google Classroom, you can assign it right in the Google Classroom. The website will do it for you. So it's absolutely wonderful.
Oh, great. I guess I should have said I'm teaching 100% in person, but I want to use some technology to get students to do stuff between classes or assignments. Yeah.
I've been working on a project where we are taking a curriculum, well, the curriculum's being built at the same time, and we decided that we were going to use 3 tools, and most of them are going to be used sort of as homework. And we're using Quizlet, Flipgrid, WhatsApp, and then a variety of Google tools. And the job I have is sort of showing how we will scaffold the skills. So, you know, lesson 1, find the app, right? Because that's hard. And then by lesson 5, we're actually, you know, everyone should feel comfortable finding the Quizlet study set that the teacher made, but then maybe by lesson 6, they're making their own. So thinking a little bit about that, how you can kind of build up scope and sequence is what I'm calling it, but build up skills so that over the course of and kind of being conscious of digital literacy skills you want students to have. So that's how we pick the tools that we're using, with the idea that those skills are kind of transferable and something that students might use in their own lives outside of our time. Kristen. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess one thing you could actually in the classroom spend some time if students have a smartphone, and preferably if you have Wi-Fi access in your classroom, that you could actually go over it together in class. I guess part of it depends too on would everybody in the class now be using their cell phone to do these things, or would some of them be, I guess all of those apps are available online, just may have to introduce it differently.
Right. So the way this particular curriculum works is module 1 is a digital literacy kind of dive, and then the rest of it's a civics curriculum. And in the dive, everyone will get the app, and they'll also see. So we're making it possible to use it both remotely, in person, and some combination. And we expect, you know, again, it's all mobile friendly, but again, anything we could do mobile, we could probably do on a computer as well. So the idea is the first module, they would have a lot of in-person or at least synchronous time together working on this. And then there'll be some working on your own and then coming back. And and that's kind of how we're building it up. And it's sort of low, like, but between the introduction and then the actually using it, you know, it's sort of, it's a little bit, it's low bar. So if they can't get there, then at least they've tried and come with questions for the next session. But you're absolutely right. Those are all things you would want to consider. So we're making the curriculum so we'll do all those things. But as a teacher who wants to use that curriculum, you would definitely need to think that through, because your particular class will have very specific needs, and you may want to do it, you know, maybe you're using Google Classroom and everything can be put there, or maybe, you know, everyone's using phones, or maybe you have a hybrid situation. So yeah, that's a really great point as far as thinking about both you and the students and how you're accessing stuff. Let's see, anybody else who didn't put anything in the chat who wants to share a little highlight or a little struggle that you're having with googly stuff, related to googly stuff?
I had signed up to talk a little bit about the Wacom using
right.
that.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, please share.
So should I do that now?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
That would be great.
All right. So the problem that I had identified for me was that I needed to be able to mark up assignments with students as they're working on them. And also I wanted to be able to correct written homework. And a lot of my students, they only have a cell phone. It's laborious to type into a Google Doc on a cell phone. So I just had them write it and I would take a look at it. So long story short, I decided to look into a tablet. I'm not sure, what do they call it? A writing tablet or, but let me just change my, just gonna turn this off. Okay, so this is a Wacom. It's very thin. It's red on the other side. And it's very lightweight. It has a plug at one end, and then the other plug goes into my Mac. The first thing I had to do was, this is the lead that they sent. So it's too short. So I had to end up buying an extension. So, and so what I wanted to, and it comes with this pen, okay? It's modestly priced. I think this was maybe $50 or less from Best Buy. You can shop around for prices. So if I can share my screen, I'll show you a couple things I used it for. I hope these work out. Okay, let me go to Google Chrome. All right, so the first one I'll show you is this. This is the Jamboard. So for instance, I teach a little bit of math with one of my ESL classes. They're high enough that they have to be categorized as ABE, so they have to have a little math. So this is something called number of the day. So you would ask students to think of different ways to come up with the number 24. So here, I'm going to use the pen. I'm going to do this in, I'll do this in, or this yellow. Okay, I'm going to use the pen. All right, now here is me doing this on the trackpad. All right, so I could say 2 plus 22. Now the students' work will probably look like this, but I wanted to be able to move more quickly. So with this pad, I can, it looks more natural. I can do 2 plus 40, or I'm sorry, actually I can erase that. Where can I erase it? There. So then I can go back to the pen and plus 24. So it's the thing that's interesting is you're looking at your computer screen, but you're writing over on this tablet. So it takes a little bit getting used to. So that was one thing I wanted to use it for. The next thing was using it for, let's see, where, oh, I have to go, sorry. Let me just pull out of that for a minute and go to Finder. Okay, so my students, when I downloaded this one, it came, the file type was a PNG, is that how you say it? PNG, which is a very high resolution file. So I ended up deciding to use Canva, which Lizalina mentioned a couple months ago. So I had to convert the PNG to a JPEG, a large JPEG. So when I open up that, let's see here, can I, sorry, just get this thing out of the way. Move this, let me move this down here. Okay, so let's see. No, sorry, I got to do something else first. So I have to go, so I open up Canva, which is an app that was developed for Chrome. And I'm going to, so I had to download that image to my computer. Now I'm going to upload it into this Canvas. All right. And open it up. Okay. So the bad thing is it doesn't appear that you can't, at least I'm not aware of how one would make this bigger. If you try doing it the usual way with, you know, raising the zoom level of an image, that doesn't work. Okay, so anyway, let's hope this works now. I usually try not to do things in red. So here the student is, so I want to use my, I use editing symbols that my students are familiar with or have been familiar with in the past. And I do that because typing, using a Google Doc and then typing in your comments, it becomes overwhelming for the students and they don't, you know, how it all works. It's just laborious. So anyway, here I'm going to make some suggestions for this writer. He writes, from the dawn of civilization to till now. So I'm going to suggest that he remove the to. Okay. Humans have been using water for various seminal purposes, drinking, bathing, watering animals, irrigating lands. Almost 71% of the Earth's total surface is covered with water. And here he has a run-on sentence. So I'm going to suggest that he, you know, take out the comma and that he, one of my symbols is, which I should be doing with my pen. I've been just doing it now with my, trackpad, okay, is to say, maybe to suggest here, and then I use a symbol, oops, sorry, MW for missing word. So total surface is covered with water, but only 2.5% of this amount can be considered as fresh water. Okay, so basically, the thing that I like about this is the Canvas allows you to undo if you make a mistake. Whereas there are some photo editors, but they don't allow you to do that as near as I can tell. Or there's something in the pull down menu, but it didn't seem to work. So, so anyway, this is what I've come up with so far. So are there any questions or?
So Kristen, I mean, I think this is great because this really replicates what would happen on paper. You like this better than writing like comments as a sort of like a text box on top of here as comments, or is that just something that you can't do from the image? I guess maybe you can't do it from the photo.
You can't do it from the image.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that you're using Canvas, not Canva, and I can't find that extension. So I see that it's canvas.apps.chrome.
Right. I just typed in Canvas and that's what came up, which is interesting because, you know, there's also that classroom management software called Canvas, but yeah.
Well, we'll find it.
Okay, and as near as I can tell, this Canvas, it has to be an image. I mean, you can't pull up a PDF, because I could have saved this as a PDF. I had to go through several different, you know,
I think it's image based. That was the thing always. I think it's image based.
Canva. Yeah. Uh-huh.
As you said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it does look like it's just sitting in Chrome. So it's not even an extension you need to add unless I'd already added it. I don't know. But anyway, I just put it in the chat. So
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's also helpful just to know that you can make smaller files because that can sometimes be an issue. So
Mhm.
that's very useful. Thank you. Anybody else questions for Kristen? And how else have you, and so questions for Kristen, but also other ways that people have handled this same issue? Because I think I see it a lot. I'm guessing teachers are dealing with this a lot, right? That you're getting homework, how people are submitting their homework, and then how are you getting them feedback?
Okay, can I?
Yes.
Sure. That was very interesting what Kristen did with the trackpad, but it's I understand they submit homework through Google Classroom, like they take photo of the page and they attach, submit.
Uh-huh.
But when I worked online, like 1.5 years during COVID, I taught my students how to use Google Docs.
Mhm.
And I didn't allow them to send me pictures because I said, this is too easy and you need to learn some technology. And yes, it is more laborious on the phone to use Google Docs, but why not?
Mhm.
And even
Yeah.
now I teach in person and I make them do it in class. I teach them, you know.
Mhm.
They submitted some paragraphs. They look very good, intermediate level. Yes.
Uh-huh. I guess I just felt there were enough things that I couldn't identify as whether they were misspellings or they were typos. And I felt like it was hindering their writing, their expression. So, I guess it just depends on, what you're, I just didn't feel like I could demand it of them that they, I mean, some did submit.
Next semester, try. They will do it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Do you ask everyone to handwrite?
No, some
No.
students have computers and they type it, into a Google Doc, but others don't have that. The only thing they have is their cell phone. And like I said, I just didn't feel like insisting that they type into that. Maybe they're faster typists than I am, but on a Google phone. But anyway.
It's a lot of work for you though, Kristen, because that's very laborious for you to correct, don't you think? Or maybe you just got really fast at doing it.
To be quite honest, I didn't really get a chance to use it by the time. It's a long story of technology going out of date. And by the time I got everything together, the semester was over. So.
I like the idea of using Google Docs. I mean, I only have my students write a couple paragraphs throughout, but because I do teach like the technology skills, but you're right, when it's time to read it. And I mean, I'm a classroom teacher from grade school, middle school, and now that I'm here, I love that I don't have to check a lot of work, but I want to read it. And I do feel self-conscious as a teacher when I put on the editing on the Google Docs. Either I'm sharing it from Google Classroom, or if I let them share, if they haven't made corrections, which, it's okay if they haven't made it. Now you can see, even though you haven't put red marks, here are all these green marks, and I'm asking you, like, let's read it. So maybe I'll read it, but even still, I wonder how students feel when they open it. Even a simple correction as an indentation. Once I press that tab, the whole paragraph is green, and it might make, or I can take it off, but still, as a student, when you've spent time doing work, I understand what you mean about looking at your work like, oh, there are so many things it might look like there's so many things that are wrong, but I do the digital applied skills. So one of my lessons is, okay, 1 week they'll do Google Docs and they'll learn how to use that. So because my focus is to give them the digital skills that I just got. And then to give them the chance to write too. I figure, we want them to be able to use Google Docs and whatever else along the line if they can, but I do have the same problem you have where I have some students who might be using a tablet or a phone. So I try to meet in the middle, and at least if we've given them the chance, like you said, like they have the chance to see it, to use it, maybe we'll use Google Docs for something smaller, but at least they've been exposed to, by the time you finish, Google Docs, Google Slides, whatever it is, they can always do more afterward, and you taught them they have the skills, they got the tools. So,
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, another thing is, I think when we're correcting students' writing, we have to be judicious about how much we're telling them at any one time, this happened to be a pretty good writer. So those were the only 2 errors I could find on that page. But, you know, a lot of students, I'm looking for, you know, subject verb agreement. That may be the only thing I look at, you know, and I tell them that that's the only thing I'm looking at today is subject verb agreement, you know, or another time, maybe they just, you know, or, you know, they write sentences that are, you know, 6 sentences with no real punctuation. So I try to limit what I'm telling them to. So it's not like I'm marking up everything. Mhm.
I mean, I think the writing thing is such an interesting thing because even, you know, when I was teaching in a classroom, how I would have handled different kinds of writing assignments would be different. And I think that is a big one about you as a teacher and your students and what you're trying to get them to do. I will say, I think it's very interesting to think about what we're willing to do on our phones. And I've been hearing email is an interesting one, right? So that would be something I would be interested in hearing if any teachers have tried that out, where you have students submitting their homework as a written thing inside a Gmail message. It's not so much about correction because you'd still have to probably take it out and put it into a document to put comments on there. But as a sort of, so what I've heard from some folks who used to be my students is that in their real lives, the only time they write in English really is in text messages. And that their text messages are not very fluent. And text message language is a little different than even an email, and then an email is different than an essay or something that you might write more formally. And I think it's an interesting thing to think about. And I recently on Twitter, my whole idea of Twitter was these really short little messages where you just have like a subject basically, and then a link out to the real content. But my husband is much more into these like really massive, long tweets where people write the full 280 words and then they have like 6 or 7 and they tell you the whole story in full language. And I'm wondering about that as a possible way to also think about some of your writing assignments, maybe that it's coming in as a WhatsApp message, or that they really practice actually the ability to text, especially if you know that they're using their phones, because it really is a skill area. And I've seen folks struggling with that in kind of formal situations. So as a worker texting their boss, right, that they're going to be late or they have a doctor's appointment or telling them something. And I've received texts that sort of say, lady, I'm delicate today, you know, and you're like, okay. And it's not, you know, it's sweet and lovely, but it's not really very professional. And if that's that person's job, they should be able to say, so I know this is sort of off the topic. It's not the same thing at all as a formal writing assignment, but something to think of as a writing.
And group WhatsApp really, I think, is amazing because students really do converse that way, and you know, and communicate. And you know, I've encouraged them to say, well, ask if you can't get to the Zoom, ask your group WhatsApp. Well, how do I get to the Zoom, or you know, things like that. So they're much more ready to communicate that way than an email or anything else.
Yes. All right, I'm going to move us along. Thank you, Kristen, so much for that. And I remember when you brought up the Wacom tablet, so I'm so glad that that's coming into being now, and I'm excited to see how that works out for you. So you know what I did was I checked the sign up sheet a day ago, and I have a feeling that several of you have added yourself. So Joan, I see that you said you're there. Amira, do you want to go? And then we'll have Joan go. So Amira, if you want to share what you've been doing.
Hi. Okay, so I'll share my screen. So I've been using Pear Deck, and I've been using math questions. And this is kind of a sample of what the students have been producing, so I can see their work in real time. You know, I can provide feedback. These are some of the math questions that I've been doing. I can see their work. I respond to them. I show their work to other students as well. Today is the last day of the program. So today I'll be doing science, and I show videos. And yeah, so that's just what I've been doing, but it's a paid program, Pear Deck, and it's interactive in real time. So that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, how does it work? Sorry.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, but I wanted it to be interactive.
No,
and-
but how does it work? I don't quite understand. Like,
Oh, yes. So what happens is I start the lesson and students will sign in and they start answering the questions on the slide in real time so that I can see their work. I can also save their work just in case, you know, my program manager wants to see what's happening. I can do it.
So you're seeing, if you have 10 students in your class, you're watching 10 different profiles of how
Right.
they're doing. Mhm.
Like for this question here, you can see that the students wrote on it to answer the question. There's a little thing right here where I can leave feedback and say, you know, good job, or, you know, try again. And then I can check to see who did not respond, and I can kind of chat to them privately to kind of get them to respond in real time.
Yeah, it's nice if you have the paid version. I mean, I had looked into it, and if you just have the free version, it doesn't really let you see individual feedback, as I recall. So it becomes a little bit of a problem. You know, I mean, if one's purpose is to kind of monitor how your students are doing, the free version doesn't really let you do that.
Yeah. I mean, I also incorporate videos before introducing certain questions as well, just to, you know, liven it up a little bit. So that's it.
Uh-huh. Does your school offers that, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a 9th grade algebra teacher, so I've been using that account with the
Okay,
GED program.
great.
And Marika, so we've talked about Pear Deck a long time ago, but I actually, Amira, we might talk to you about doing a longer presentation in the fall, because it is a very complex, it's not very complex. And there's a free version and a paid version, but you basically are making Google Slides and then you connect it with Pear Deck, and then it gives you these functionalities that are really exciting. But it does take some facility and having a really clear sense of what you want to get out of it. So that's very exciting.
I'd like to tip my hat to you also. I learned a lot from you. I now create those Google quizzes. I know how to, create. I think one time you'd shown how to shorten the length and copy and paste and send it to people. So I appreciate that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Amira. Anybody have any other questions for Amira? And then we'll go to Joan. All right, take it away, Joan.
Well, I am going to transgress or against several cardinal rules. I'm going to be reading this instead of just speaking extemporaneously, but it was either do that or not say anything. So I'm choosing this route. And I also don't have anything to show you. It's just words that I'm going to read. It's a story that the topic is getting the hang of it. So you're going to see my eyes cast down as as I'm here in front of you, and I hope you'll bear with me. So here I go. It took me almost 2 years to return to classroom teaching after the classes I had been teaching were suspended because of COVID. So I arrived late to this party. The 2 hybrid classes I teach are in a program that doesn't use Google Classroom and actually doesn't even allow printing from Google Docs. So I recently discovered the feature that allows you to email a doc in their required format, Microsoft Word. But from day one, I have shared my screen in a Google Doc and used it as a Blackboard. A wonderful tip I got from more than one source, one of them being this group. I add to or change explanatory text I've prepared or just write on a blank doc. As a board lover, this gave me the essential thing I needed. Bear in mind, this is a hybrid class. With the 3rd class I teach, we use Google Classroom. A wonderful colleague in the same program gave me an hour-long helpful walkthrough, and I thought I was good to go. And I was kind of. My heart was definitely all in. How could this not be easy? I especially loved the stream. Nothing beneath the surface there, no booby traps. The classwork part was challenging. The big takeaway about that was remember to make a copy for each student. I would remember that. But I must have forgotten the second week because a student emailed me a share request saying he couldn't write on the document he had received with his assignment. When I made him an editor of the document, his responses appeared on the original document for all to see. Other students had the same issue. Suddenly, the stream was cluttered with my apologies and attempts to remedy the situation. As is usually the case, a student came up with a solution. They made their own copies of the original, wrote their answers on those, and attached them to their assignments. Determined that no student should ever again be without a copy, the next week, not only did I send each student a copy of the assignment, I also shared the original document with each of them, making them editors, and once again, students' answers began appearing on the original document. Since then, I have been making a copy for each student and leaving it at that. With that group, I still occasionally use Google Docs as a kind of board. Most recently, sharing everyone on a document we used in class in a collaborative vocabulary activity, organizing words into word families. It's so simple and it still amazes me. With Padlet and Jamboard, students have their own board. For writing, Padlet is easier and everyone's favorite. But the tech highlight of the spring for me came in a Jamboard activity facilitating discussion. I posted a different discussion question on each of 4 panels of a Jamboard and assigned a different breakout room number to each panel number. Students were then free to choose whichever breakout room they wanted to join and to leave and join other conversations on other topics as they wished. This turned out to be really fun and satisfying for everyone. I've been using Google Docs with that class to prepare annotated excerpts from the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass. The ease with which photos and footnotes can be inserted is wonderful. The only thing I've looked for and not found is a system for adding line numbers to the text to make it easier to refer to specific passages. But as I said, that's the only thing. And if I had to choose only one Google app, it would be Google Docs.
Great,
Could
Joan.
you share that reflection with me? Like, I'd
Sure.
love to publish it. This is phenomenal.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to read it.
And it's
because
very
I was so
honest.
nervous I couldn't just.
No,
talk.
it's
That is awesome, Joan.
Okay.
That's great,
Good
Joan.
job.
And I think Google Docs is wonderful. I use it every class. It's like
I
my
love it.
Blackboard.
Such a good tool. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for this group. I couldn't possibly be doing anything without this group. So thank you all. Thank
Good
you all.
job.
Go, Krista.
Refreshing.
I have just a small question about Google Classroom and Google Docs. So this is, I'm from your poetry, Joan. I'm going to the like very nitty gritty, but anyway, so I was confused, like when you share a Google Doc with each student, right? So that they can edit it.
Yeah,
Does it become a template in Google Classroom? I'm confused about that.
I don't know.
Does anyone know? Because I've seen, maybe Lauren, you know that. I've seen it as like all of a sudden it's a template as a Google Doc for me when I've shared a copy to each student. Does anyone know?
Yeah, when you make a copy for each student, it becomes a template.
Okay. I just wanted to know that. Yeah, because I was a little confused because at the time in the beginning, I used to be so paranoid that I would lose my original, that I would make a copy of the original.
Oh, that's good to know. I did not know that. So thank you. I just started making copies a couple of Google Clubs ago. I was like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. This is great. I was literally making something, a whole slideshow, and then take a look at this. But now everybody can have one.
Yes. No, that's one great thing about Google Classroom.
Thank you, Google Club. Thank you.
I have a question here. Can I ask? So about assigning a copy for every student, when I make a copy for each student, if some student if it's a template, if some student by mistake, they erase their copy, I cannot put it back. So turns out that it remains empty for the student. The student would ask me, so I lost my copy, can you please assign me again? So that's something that I couldn't solve. Can someone help me how to do that?
If no one has an answer today, we will definitely look into that, Sabine, because it's very helpful to know these struggles.
Well, I'm sorry, what was the question?
So if a student erases their copy that they've been assigned, it sounds like Sabine is saying it's hard. You can't just give them another copy. Is that what you're experiencing?
Yes. Yes.
Did you go to the history of it though? Right, because the Google Doc, the history. No.
No.
No, since it's a template, since it becomes a template, so history doesn't really help. It just remains empty. I tried several ways, but I couldn't put it back, and I couldn't assign another copy either. So I had to tell them, okay, next time you can do the next activity or something. So I wanted to know if there is any way. I'm so sorry about the background noise because I am on my way. So I'm sorry.
So Sabine, I have some thoughts in the sense of like maybe being able to just send it to them outside of Google Classroom and then having them submit it. But we'll work on that if other people don't have answers and I don't.
Yeah, like they could write their own document and submit it, like attach it, but not that you can recover whatever they erased. No, I had the same problem, but it happens, you know.
Yeah. Kristen, I'm sorry, earlier you had your hand raised. Did you have?
You know, I thought there was an add-on for adding line numbers.
Oh,
there is a way. There is a way. I just don't remember, but there is a way.
Really? Have you done it?
I have not. I think maybe Kristen has, but I know you can do it. There's a way of doing it.
Well, see, it says, I'm just looking here. It says, maybe Nell can type this in. It's called, there's a Chrome extension called line numbering for Google Docs. You can get it from,
line numbering.
For Google Docs.
And I just
you can also use Google Sheets. That's what I do.
Right.
You use Google
doesn't have
Sheets?
spell check and stuff in it though. You lose. I mean, in Google Sheets, you would just number your rows. But this is kind of exciting. So I didn't see the one Kristen did. I saw another one. This is an article about line numbers in Google, but we'll find some other extensions and we'll certainly share those.
Yeah, but then I just copied this link that they provided, but that sounds like it doesn't, I mean, it didn't take me to anything. Huh. Well.
Yeah, I'm not going to look more, but I think I think we're going to find something. So that's exciting. We will definitely include that as in our resources.
I also think for the next session for the Google Club, which we're going to continue, of course, I think we should get on Google Sheets, man. They're amazing.
Google Sheets?
Yeah, like I've been learning a lot. I mean, I'm lacking, you know, so I decided to go ahead and learn. And I was like, whoa, I've been missing a lot of good things. So it's worth it to look at. Yeah.
Anybody else want to share anything that you're currently doing? I'm going to give that extra silence to penetrate and get those people who are shy. It's all good. All right. Well, this was so fantastic, and I'm so glad we recorded it because it's amazing. You're all doing such amazing things, and this is such great energy always in this group. I did prepare a couple of slides. We're going to do a little bit of it, but then we'll save the rest for the fall. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me get to the right thing. All right, so I went ahead and did the zone of proximal development because I think that's where we've all been lately, or maybe always. as far as what we can do on our own, what we can do together, and then the things that we need to learn separately. So you guys already did this piece. What I was going to do today is talk a little bit about some Chrome tips and tricks, because some things have been changing and some things people just don't know, or some people know them and some people don't. So this is sort of baseline ways for you to manage your Chrome and to do things like that. So the first thing, when you first start your, when you open up Chrome, what do you see when you first open up Chrome? Do you have several tabs open? Do you only have one tab? Is it the one you were visiting last when you were last on Chrome? Go ahead, Kristen.
Well, at some point I set up a set of tabs that includes Google Calendar, my email, Google Drive, and then a blank Google,
Nice.
Page.
Yes. Very nice, very efficient, right? So this is going back to the idea of efficiency. Is there anyone there who has, it just goes to the last tabs you had open? Because that's another way people sometimes have it laid out. So for me, when I open up my Chrome, I have it set up just like Kristen was doing. And the way that you do that is you get to your Chrome, you open up Chrome, and up in that upper right corner, you have what we call a skinny snowman. And I was just watching a Google session from COABE from Melinda Holt, who's fabulous from California. And she's like, if you see a skinny snowman, poke it. So we're going to poke the skinny snowman. It's always good. You'll learn a lot. And on here, you'll see at the very bottom, close to the end, right? So settings. And this is all in the slides, so you'll have the slides as well. But once you get to the settings page, over here you have on startup. And then you can say you want it to be a new tab. So it'll just be a blank search, Google search page. Do you want to continue where you were when you closed Chrome down? Or do you want to open up specific pages? And that's what Kristen was just describing, right? So I have it set up so that my first tab is always basically Chrome, all of my Chrome tools. Then I have my personal email, I have Eventbrite, I have the Literacy Assistance Center, and I have Zoom. And it's good to know because I might want to change it, right? Like I don't really need, I've not been using Eventbrite lately, so I could actually get rid of that. But maybe it's more likely that right now I'm doing a lot of stuff with Google Sites, and maybe I want Google Sites to open up immediately. So you could do it today and it can be like that for a long time, and then you can change it anytime you want to. So basically you would come in, the way I've often done it is I've set up the tabs I want to have open. And I come here and I do use current tabs, and that way it automatically takes those 5 tabs or whatever. And then I can close out of Chrome, and when I open it up again, it'll be those 5 tabs. I can add more, I can take out more, I can close Chrome down. When I open it up, it'll be back to those 5. So again, it's totally up to you. So if I was going to do that, well, right, basically that's what would happen. So right now I have a lot of tabs open, right? I personally don't want all those tabs to reopen after I close this. So I like my set of 5. You can also go into each one of these and edit it. Maybe something has changed. Maybe you want to go to a sub page inside that, or you just want to remove that one. As I was just saying, I don't really need Eventbrite anymore, so maybe I'll remove that. Okay, I don't have to save anything. I just leave it like that, and then I just close out of settings. Now in settings, you have some other things that you can do, right? So if you ever notice that whenever you try to type something, your address into a order form or something and the wrong address is coming up, your autofill is where you can go in and manage some of that stuff. So settings is a good place to go and play a little bit just to see all the different things you can do. You can change the appearance, which is basically the color at the top here. What is your search engine? The default will be Google. What's your default browser? It'll be Chrome probably. And then there are advanced settings as well. So if you want to have other languages, and you might find that students have figured this out and have other languages here. And then resetting and cleaning up. And I haven't really done much in that area, I will say. And then if you want to see all the extensions you have, this is one place you can see all the extensions that you have. We're going to go and look at extensions from somewhere else, but so that is the settings section. So how do we get to settings? Who can tell me? Julie.
You poked the skinny man.
I poked the skinny snowman, exactly. So it's a very good thing to remember that that guy's up there. Excellent. So what on my Chrome, the next thing I want to talk about is that when I open up a new tab, my new tab will always look like this. It's going to have Google, it has a search bar in it, and then it has these icons. And for a long time, I didn't really know how these icons got here. Like, I didn't do that. I guess Google thought I went there often. I don't know. So I'd like to change some of this stuff. And the way that I can do that is down the bottom corner here, there's a little pencil. So if I click on the pencil, first of all, I can change the background, which I just did today, because up to today, it was just a big teal background. There are lots of options to pick from. You maybe just want something quiet and not super loud. So you can go back to just having just a flat color. You can also have refresh daily, so it changes. There are images here as well, right? Like maybe something calm. Just have that for today, okay? So what those little icons are, they're called shortcuts. And this is where I can edit the shortcuts. So I can change how they're seen. I can hide them all. So this is sort of the broad control over my shortcuts. These little pictures at the bottom are called cards. And this is also where I can do some broad customization on my cards. And then I can change color and theme. And this, if you have multiple Google Chrome accounts, this is helpful to have them different colors. So that is one hint that you're in a different Chrome account when you're there. So I'm done with that. Now I want to go in and this is from when I was taking a class and I don't need it here anymore. So I'm going to, as I scroll over it, ooh, look at that. I get another skinny snowman. I'm going to poke that skinny snowman and I am going to remove that shortcut. These are shortcuts that Google thinks I care about because I went to those places a lot, right? So for a little while, I was going to that website a lot, but I don't need to go there anymore. However, Google doesn't know that I really would like to have access to my Google Drive, right? Whenever I get to that screen, I'd love to be able to just get to my Google Drive. So I'm going to cheat and go, I think I can just type, well, let's type Google Drive. And then I'm going to see if I can steal it. And I'm going to click done. And so now I have Google Drive, right? So again, I could look through these and see if other ones, I don't ever go to Facebook either. I don't go to Etsy. So I could get rid of those if I wanted to, but I'm not that bothered. But it'd be really great to put things here that I really do go to frequently that Google somehow didn't realize. These cards down here, again, are coming because of searches I've done. So you can see I've been searching for a grapefruit fennel salad on my phone. And this shows up in my Google search. It's always a little alarming when they all come connected like that. I can get rid of those cards. I can, again, so the skinny snowman, the pencil got us broad editing, changing of these areas. In the individual area, the skinny snowman will give me specific editing to that area. So I can hide these recipes. I can say, don't show these again, and I can customize my cards. So if I customize, I can say, I don't want recipe ideas. This will show you if you're shopping. It'll show you all your carts. And then I can hide all the cards if I wanted to. I'm just going to leave it as it is. I don't really pay attention to that, but every now and then it's been kind of helpful to remind me that I was looking at something. So this is my sort of default tab, right? And so I could do a Google search here if I wanted to. Let's go back to this screen. So you can see here, I'm kind of taking us through the different pieces that are there. And we just did that piece already.
Ask something now. Like for example, when I go to ISL Collective, I get all these ads and some other, of things I've gone to in the past, and sometimes it's really awful because it's like pet food or whatever. And how do I get rid of all that?
It's
I
really
can't.
hard. I don't think you can. So there are some tools. I'm trying to remember now. I think it was for YouTube. There is a tool, for example, where you can share a YouTube video through that tool and it will come out. And I think I shared that last time, and it'll come out without the ads, we can definitely do some searching for what you're describing, because it is frustrating. I mean,
It's disruptive too. It's distracting. You know?
distracting. Yeah, and it's often the most ridiculous. Like I've already made my purchase too, so
I know,
I
exactly.
don't need to buy another suitcase. Yeah, but that's a good one. So we'll look and see if we can find a. There, I know there are things, especially K-12 will tend to use tools to stop the ads from showing up, and so we'll see if we can find something that we can access that way. So this is really telling about the skinny snowman again. And these are the settings we looked at already. Okay, so I'm going to share one last thing, and then I think we're done for the day. So this is really about sharing from the Omnibox. So the Omnibox is this large, long search bar at the top. That's different than a regular search bar. It has some different abilities. So if this used to come up with Bitly quite a lot, sometimes if you put Bitly links in a search bar in here, it wouldn't find it because this really wants a URL. The Omnibox is called the Omnibox because it's for everything. I can type the word Apple. I could put in apple.com. It would understand both of those. But in here, it gets a little confused. So the best search area is actually up in that bigger, longer box that we always can see at the top of our Chrome, which is the Omnibox for everything. So when I'm in my Omnibox, and I find something that I want to share with somebody, right? So say there is a, let's see here. Say I want to share this. It's not so good for this one. Let me find something where there's actual content. We'll go to our grapefruit salad. Let's do it. Okay, so I want to share this with somebody, right? I can go up here and I can grab that link. But I have a couple of other options that are now built into Chrome. So over here, you see that little L with a little arrow sticking out of it. It's as I scroll over, it says share this page. When I click on that, I get a whole menu of things I can do. I can create a QR code from here. That's relatively new. And actually, for a little while, there was a little symbol that popped up more obviously, but now you have to see it in this drop-down menu. So I could create a QR code for this. So any online thing, you could just grab a QR code from here and download that and then paste it wherever you need to. So they've made it very easy for you to get a QR code for anything that you find in Chrome. You can send it to your devices. So my phone happens to be an Android phone. I don't know how it works with iPhones, but with an Android, obviously it's googly. If I wanted to, I could send this link to my phone. Now, when I open up Chrome on my phone, that link is going to be there opened already. A little bit creepy, but how wonderful. I can send it to somebody else too. So if their device was something I'd already attached here, I could share it with my sister in Seattle and she would get it when I shared that way. So casting, if you have, I think it's called Google Cast, Chromecast. It's called Chromecast, which is its own little device that you'd have to have hooked in. But then you could send whatever this is to that and it would display on a big screen, for example, or you could send it to a projector. And then the kind of trick today is there's something, so you're probably all familiar with bookmarks, but Chrome also has something called a reading list. And I don't know if it's going to give us that option here. No, I don't. So here it's letting me save it as actual document. I don't actually want to do that, so I'm going to cancel that. The other thing I can do is if I want to save this, I don't really want to bookmark it because I'm only using it temporarily. I'm going to think of bookmarks as something that I want to come back to frequently. Like if I really love this Eating Well website, maybe I would bookmark Eating Well. But this specific article is more of a reading list type of content. And the way that I get to my reading list, again, looking at that Omnibox, scroll all the way to the side, there's this little, they're calling it like a, what do they call it? Side panel. So as you scroll over it says side panel and it's right beside my face. So if I click on side panel, up pops the side panel and there are two different components. There is reading list and bookmarks. I have a cajillion bookmarks. And if I add more, it's actually a lot of work, especially if I only want this recipe and I want to find it immediately. So adding it to the reading list is really easy. It's kind of like the starred list in our drive. Like it's going to be something I'm not going to let get out of control. I only want it for a little while. So I'm going to add it to the tab. It's there. I'm going to use the recipe. If I really love it, I'm probably going to save it somewhere else as an actual document or in my Google Keep or something. But for me to read it on the bus into work or while I'm waiting for something, this will make it really easy for me to come back to it. So bookmarks are there as well. Bookmarks you do by clicking on that star. So this is sharing it with all these different ways. And then there is bookmark adding it. And I don't want to do that, so I'm removing it. All right. We are out of time. I have lots of other fun things, but we're going to save it for September. So September may be, Liz later I will have a conversation and figure out our schedule for the next few sessions. But I can see that there'll be something about Google Sheets, and I can see that might be something about Google Docs, and I'm guessing there'll be something about Chrome and some of the shortcuts and things in there. But you'll get the slides, and if you want to play with them, you can. And we'll put this recording up too. So remember that we do have our blog. I'm gonna scroll all the way down. This is our blog. I'll put that in the chat. And I haven't put this in there, but everything else is there. And we've been recording the last few sessions, so I've been including the video to the sessions, which I think is helpful as well. So you get both, the slides are usually there, and then if there's a recording of the meeting, it's also there. So I'm going to stop sharing. So again, thank you all so much. You have really hung in there and done lots of really amazing things and inspired. I think each of us, certainly I'm inspired by the work you're doing and has led me down paths I hadn't gone down before. So I really appreciate that. And we look forward to coming back. I think September is probably when we're going to start back up again. But we're always here, right? Liz Elena and I are both not going, well, we're going on vacations, that's true. But we're always here. And we're really happy to work with you. And any questions you have, feel free to send them as an email, because it really is helpful for us to know what you're struggling with. We don't, we are very familiar with the struggles we have doing professional development, but we're not necessarily always as aware of the things you're dealing with in the classroom. And so it's really fantastic to get your input and takes on what goes on and the real struggles that happen when you have a lot of students joining you on a phone, or now you're going to have this combination of people in person and devices. So thank you. Liz Elena, did you want to say anything? I really monopolized today. So
oh, it's fine. It's okay. You can monopolize all you want. I just wanted to thank you for actually filling out the survey, the NEET assessment survey that I sent, and many of you filled it out. So that gave us the idea of like these being one of the series that you wanted to prioritize. And so I thank you for that, because it was a little bit of a struggle getting responses back. So, and I noticed I remember many of the Google Club things. So I wanted to thank you personally for that, taking your time for that.
all right, well, have incredible July and August, and we will see you in September.
Okay.
But feel free to reach out before then if you have
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.